We are talking military now because the US is sending Patriot air defence systems to Ukraine as President Trump becomes increasingly frustrated with Russia's leader. Moscow has been stepping up its attack on Ukraine, causing a rising civilian death toll. The US President has given reporters this quote. He says, "Vladimir Putin talks nice, but then bombs everybody in the evening." Joining us now, retired Major General Gus McLachlan in the studio. Hi there, so much to talk to you about today, Gus. Let's start with these Patriots. Why are they so valuable to Ukraine?
This is the core of what I'd call the Western air defence system. We're all familiar with the Iron Dome that the Israelis use that's been so successful in defending the population centres. Well, Putin's been attacking the population centres, particularly the power generation facility, water purification, and some homes and physical infrastructure. So Patriot is the system that is most capable at knocking down the really top-end Russian missiles, the cruise missiles and the intercontinental ballistic missiles. The Ukrainians have been very good at developing their own sort of lower-level tech, but they can't do the really high-end stuff without the American systems.
Do the Americans have an endless supply of these?
No, and I think this is what we've seen, this little stumble, if you like, from the Pentagon, Mr. Colby, who seems like a very interesting and forthright character. By the way, doing our AUKUS review, I'm not sure I'm filled with confidence. I think what he is signalling is American stocks are not where they would like to be. I'm hearing as low as 25% for some of their missions around the world. And this is an administration that said they're prioritising everything about the Asia Pacific and China. So every missile that they fire over Ukraine will be causing them concern.
Well, let's move on to AUKUS and the deal. And over the weekend, again, words from the Pentagon that Australia had to consider AUKUS in terms of action in Taiwan. What did you make of it?
Yeah, the Americans have been trying to get us to commit to Taiwan for many years. In their case, they would like certainty. And of course, succession of Australian Prime Ministers have said that we will make the decision that is in Australia's best interest at the time, and that's been a consistent policy, and I think that's the position Mr Albanese is taking. The complication this time is it looks like their submarine production numbers are well down on where they would like. There's talk that they need 2.3 per year to meet their needs plus ours, and I think the real number is closer to 1 per year. So they will be looking at any submarines they release to us and wonder, will they get them back? Will they be able to use them in the case of a Taiwan situation? So this is a pretty significant ripple. I think there will be a subtle signalling that they've relied on us for many decades and can continue to do so, but I don't think we'll get any specific agreement about Taiwan, or at least in public.
It must be putting the Americans back up as well, the visit that Anthony Albanese is having in China right now when they're talking about AUKUS and Taiwan.
The timing couldn't be much more complicated. You've got this huge military exercise where we're demonstrating how close we are to the US military. Our leader is in China, albeit who said he's going to make some clear remarks about security. And at the same time, Mr. Colby, who appears to be quite the China hawk, is doing this review about whether or not they should support our AUKUS deal. So a few balls in the air.
It's interesting, the timing. You mentioned Talisman Sabre, and I know that you were heavily involved in previous operations. What is the purpose, firstly?
I didn't have grey hair before I was the exercise director. This is, you said in your earlier remarks, the biggest exercise we do, and big exercises are sometimes necessary. You do a lot of lower level stuff to get individual soldiers, sailors, air crews ready, but you also need to exercise the big muscle movements, logistics. You need to exercise the admirals and the generals to make sure that they can make the right decisions. And importantly, you need to make sure all the systems can talk to each other, the digits can move across. And in increasingly high-tech war, it might be an Australian jet that wants to fire on a target designated by an American satellite, for example, and if that's the case, we have to make sure that works. So at a time when, when trust and certainty and the alliance are all under question, good on the military. They're getting on with making sure that if our political leaders allow us to, we will cooperate together.
Gus, in your time doing Talisman Sabre, were you prepping for a particular war?
No, we weren't. So I think that's a significant change. So we called what we did in my day, back in the old days, foundation warfighting training. We never really declared what we're doing, and we thought if you had the basic skills right, you could And use an analogy, if you had a set of golf clubs, you could play any course that you needed to. The Defence Strategic Review released by the first Albanese government has made very clear that there is one shaping mission, if you like, and that's countering coercion from China. So there's no question in my mind this Talisman Sabre is about forward projection into the region. We're seeing PNG involved for the first time to make it clear that Australia will be part of any operation to deter Chinese aggression.
And all the while, Chinese ships are watching, not very far away.
Well, then you could argue the 3 ships that steamed around Australia were probably made of Australian steel. So we're in this, incredibly unusual situation. Now, I hope what this means is deterrence. I mean, military people train hard with a view that if you make yourself a really hard target, it will deter aggression against us. And I think that's what every soldier, sailor, airman and woman who's out there is doing, is trying to prove that we are highly capable and we would be a very prickly adversary. So hopefully that means that nobody does seek to coerce Australia.
Such a complicated web, isn't it? Gus, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you.
My pleasure.